Here's more from Senator James Lankford. His new annual federal fumbles report was just released. It details examples of wasteful spending, some of it already targeted by Musk. Senator, Americans love the idea of cutting government fat, and you've done a lot of work exposing it. Are you concerned at all that so far Elon Musk and Doge have yet to provide the receipts, proof of the fraud that they found?
Yeah, not yet. Americans love cutting fat as long as it's not the fat that they like.
As long as it's not their fat.
That's exactly right. So everybody loves the concept of it, but then they go, wait, there's a certain grant program that I really like, or my community had, or whatever it may be. When you're $35+ trillion in total debt, and we have $2 trillion in overspending just this year, we are literally spiraling out of control. So what I'm hearing and sensing is a lot of Americans saying, hey, I know there's good things out there and bad things, but let's pull the car over. We need to be able to talk about this more and to be able to figure out what we're going to do. So for a lot of Americans, the concept of, please don't waste my dollars. I work really hard. I'm about to pay my taxes on April 15th. Just don't waste them. Just don't send them to some useless project somewhere. I want it to be spent wisely. Yeah. They like the idea, but now we've got to be able to see the inefficiencies and how it's being cleaned up. Some of the things that even Elon Musk talked about yesterday about federal retirement system and how inefficient that is, where people retire after working decades in the federal government. They can't get their benefits for months. We highlighted that 5 years ago in my federal fumble book because we release it every year and say this has been a problem for a long time. It's been unaddressed. If we can actually get something to address that, that'll do nothing but help the efficiency and, quite frankly, our retiring federal workers.
But some of the things that Elon Musk is recommending that be cut and that are actually being cut and funds that are being frozen are funds that you in Congress voted for. Doesn't Congress need to approve this before Elon Musk does this?
So yes, if it has been passed by and is in law, that is in law, and that needs to be carried out. That's the wonderful battle happening right now between the courts and the executive branch, where if they're actually trying to stop something that's actually in statute to be done, then the courts are going to step in on that and say, hold on, you got to be able to follow the law. That's the basic of three branches of governments all checking and balance each other. Yep. But there are aspects that they're reaching in and saying, hey, this is wasteful. This was an interpretation of the law that previous administrations had, and that doesn't need to be done. The student loan is a good example of that. Biden wanted to be able to forgive billions of dollars in student loans. The court stepped in and said, you can't do that. He kept searching for a way to be able to do it anyway. But the courts just kept stepping in and saying, that is not legal. You cannot do that. So this check and balance happens all the time.
All right, Senator, I do want to ask you, Tulsi Gabbard was sworn in as Director of National Intelligence this afternoon. You voted to approve her. You said earlier that you were surprised that in her confirmation hearing, she refused to say that Edward Snowden was a traitor, that it was an easy question. You said it was universally accepted that when you steal 1 million pages of top secret government documents and hand it to the Russians, it's a traitorous act. So if you thought that during her hearing, why did you vote for her today?
So we actually sat down after that hearing, and I had a very long conversation with her in my office and said, help me understand this, because that looks like you're betraying your country when you steal 1 million. It was actually 1.5 million documents and actually take them to the Russians, become a Russian citizen, and hand them over. It absolutely devastated our intelligence gathering for a whole season based on what he did. I consider that a betrayal. She didn't like the term betrayal on that. She also understood that he did expose some programs that were violating civil liberties that we've made changes on since that time period. I don't see what he did as strong enough in exposing as a whistleblower in that way that he chose to be able to do it. It was illegal in how we did it. We have a difference of opinion on that, on who that person is on it. We did agree on things like 702, our intelligence gathering authorities. She made earlier statements saying, hey, we need to get rid of that authority. She has now shifted on that and said, no, we need to protect that authority. That is the way that we know threats that are coming at us. That was the single biggest issue for me, was that.
You're confident the country is safe because Mitch McConnell voted no. He is very concerned about her judgment.
He is, and I quite frankly, I had a lot of conversations with her. This is a lifelong Democrat that she's voted in a lot of ways that I disagreed with when she was in the House of Representatives. So
she's also went and visited, Syria's, dictator Bashar Assad after he gassed his own people. I mean, there are a lot of very controversial things she's done.
Yep, and she came back. We had very frank questions about that and conversations about it. And she said, "Hey, I'm not supportive of Assad. Understand he was gassing his own people. All those things." She also met with some other leaders that were opposed to Assad while she was in Syria as well. She'd met with both sides of it.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.